Hello, my name is Bill Tite, and this is, ironically, a primarily visual and audio presentation of my limited literature review centering on touch. I am drawn to the senses of touch and design because I love to touch and hold objects, people, and memories. I am fascinated with touch. And I am a designer and educator as well, so the interests seem a natural, although incomplete, fit. How, for instance, can designers and educators integrate the haptic experience into their livelihoods, their passions? Why should they want to? That is, what is the benefit to the work and the people who will use the artifact, service, or experience? Previous projects have asked me to consider the wider implications of my actions and the people who will be affected by those actions, including those I collaborate with. I mention this because my topic and the research are related. The research will, of course, enrich the project, but in doing the research, I find myself literally in touch with the tactile materials as well as people. I am paying close attention to what I come in contact with and the feelings they generate in me. How can I harness these sensations? That's part of my topic, designed for the haptic senses. So, what is haptics? Well, first of all, haptics basically has to do with touch, but it is much more than simple putting a hand to a surface, although that is part of it. Mark Peterson outlines two general aspects of haptic sensation, derived from many sources, in his book, The Senses of Touch. They are proprioception and force feedback, and they both have a lot to do with design. Basically, proprioception relates to how we move through the world, including balance. It refers to the movement of our body parts, and it pertains to the most common skin sensations of pressure, temperature, and pain. Examples of force feedback are the rumble settings on game controllers and sticky icons on some tablet displays. There's been a lot of interest in this particular aspect of haptics. For instance, Roberta Klatsky at Carnegie Mellon has suggested applications for human interface interactions. Medical training could benefit from an artificial resistance to a doctor's movements with instruments in order to simulate live operations. Students could investigate virtual environments through simulated pressure and temperature. Other applications are naturally being developed for erotic entertainment, but that's another story. Touch is so important because it is the most proximal sense. That is, what we feel from touch we must encounter directly with our bodies, whereas with sight and sound we encounter waves, and with smell we encounter odors. Most of what we understand about the world has been derived from the senses of touch. A lot became known about the mechanics and physiology of the haptic senses, beginning with the studies by E.H. Weber in the 1800s, and now being expanded upon by researchers like Roberta Klatsky, who I mentioned earlier. There is a lot to learn from the memories, emotions, and relationships built from touch as well. Literature and cultural histories tell us about how people felt about touch in the past. There are important similarities between all people. We are intimately connected through touch both with each other as well as with objects. Intimacy between people is easier to discuss and understand than our real intimate relationship with certain non-human objects. Our favorite articles of clothing, our pets, books, a comfortable chair, whatever it may be, feels good. That makes me happy, that we grow accustomed to. This is important to understand because touch has been underappreciated in much of design, until relatively recently. The 2004 Haptic exhibition, Awakening the Senses, produced by Kenya Hara, introduced a fairly unique way of approaching design. In addition to shape, color, material, and texture, he insisted that we should also be focused on the design of the senses. How do we make someone sense something? This unique direction deliberately seeks ways to integrate new technology into traditional physical design as opposed to digital. Examples include lanterns made using hair transplant technology, clear silicone coasters with tadpole-shaped objects suspended inside and reflecting through glasses of liquid, a clock made of white paper, a hydrogel hand-shaped doorknob, fruit juice packages which resemble and feel like the fruits the juice comes from, highlighting subtle differences between recalled memories and reality. In marketing, there are 2 points where touch can be focused upon. The first is a point of contact where someone first encounters an object. It is clear that some people are much more prone to initiate touch in these instances than others. How can touch be more readily initiated? The second point of interest is after someone obtains a particular object. How then can designing for the senses create a lasting connection between the person and the object? And not in order to seduce necessarily, but to become sensual, as Aranda Krishna suggests in her book Sensory Marketing. Tactile environmental wayfinding and banknote design for identification and anti-counterfeiting are just two of many other practical applications of haptics being developed. In the classroom, the senses of touch can be integrated to facilitate deeper understanding of objects, processes, and each other. The D-School, for instance, has developed numerous instructional paths designed with haptics in mind. Making connections with people through the haptic senses is what interests me. The questions I will be searching answers for are: what is the future of designing for haptic senses? What does a haptic approach say about designers, artists, and educators? And how can haptics be adapted to other endeavors? Thank you.